We need more psychology. We need more understanding of human nature because the only real danger that exists is man himself. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe you are not who you think you are? That the thoughts you have, the decisions you make, the desires that seem to be yours may not have come from you? What if I told you that there is a hidden force within you, silent, deep, dark, that has been guiding your life since day one without you even realizing it? No, this is not a conspiracy theory, this is psychology. And if there is anim, you need to know to understand what is really going on inside your mind. That name is Carl Gustav. Are you tired of repeating some mistakes? Of sabotaging your relationships? Of feeling that something is holding you back, pulling you down even when everything seems to be going well? Maybe it's your shadow. Maybe it's the archetypes. Maybe it's the collective unconscious screaming for attention. But what is all of this? And should you care? Because ignoring these aspects of your psyche is like walking blindfolded through a minefield. You will get hurt. You will repeat patterns. You will suffer. And the worst part, you will call it bad luck or fate. Carl Jung is not just a psychologist. He's a crafter of the human soul. Hem up the most hidden corners of the mind where no one else had the courage to go. And what he discovered can change everything you think you know about yourself. This video is not a biography. It is not a summary. It is a mirror. Andy will show you what you have been avoiding to look at for years. But be careful. Once you understand Jung's ideas, there is no turning back. You will start to see things that were previously unnoticed. You will recognize monsters that live inside you. And perhaps for the first time you will understand that the greatest enemy of your life is not out there. It is within. Good news. This enemy can become your greatest ally, but only if you have courage. So take a deep breath, clear your mind, and get ready. Because of this is without exaggeration the online explanation about Jung that you really need to hear. And after it you will never look at yourself the same way again. Carl Jung was not an ordinary psychologist. He was not only interested in curing symptoms or adjusting people to a sick society. He wanted to go deeper, much deeper. He wanted to understand the human soul. Jung looked into the abyss of the psyche and had the courage to dive into it. And what he found there changed the history of psychology forever. Born in Switzerland in 1875, Jung grew up surrounded by religious symbolism, rituals, and an atmosphere filled with silence and mystery. From an early age, he sensed that there was something more in human experience, something that could not be explained merely by words or logic. It is no wonder he would become Sigmund Freud's brightest disciple. But he would also be the one to dare to question him. Freud believed that everything in the human mind revolved around repressed sexual desire. Jung saw something else. He saw depths. He saw archetypes, symbols, myths, collective forces. While Freud looked at the immediate past, Jung saw thousands of years back, touching the ancestral roots of our existence. And for that reason, the rupture between Thetwo was inevitable. Jung did not want to just treat mental illnesses. He wanted to restore the lost connection of human beings with their essence. He believed that the psyche was a living dynamic system full of opposing tensions. Light and shadow, reason and emotion, masculine and feminine, and that suffering was not a mistake of existence but a call to transformation. He created a new way of seeing the human being. Analytical psychology, a path that does not seek to erase what is wrong in you, but to understand, to integrate, to make conscious what has been rejected, hidden, denied. Because for Jung, the true enemy was not suffering. It was unconsciousness. But why does all this still matter? Because today's society is sick. We continue to be trapped in destructive patterns. We continue to toignure our emotions, anesthetizing our emptiness, fleeing from pain. And Jung not only predicted this, he offered a way, a map to within ourselves, a chance to understand why we feel so disconnected and what we need to do to reconnect. He does not offer you easy words nor empty promises, but he offers you something that no one else offers. The truth about yourself. And one of the most disturbing truths that Jung revealed to the world. is that there is a layer of the human mind that is not individual but shared by all humanity. A deep ocean of symbols, images, and forces that shape our lives even if we're never aware of it. In the next part, we will dive into this mysterious place that Jung called the collective unconscious, and you will realize that there are many more other people living inside you than you imagine. Most people think that their thoughts, feelings, and fears are uniquely theirs, that everything that goes on inside the mind is the result of personal experience, childhood, culture, individual memories. But Carl Jung radically challenged this idea. He revealed that there is a deeper layer of psyche, older and more powerful, that does not belong to you, yet still governs you. He called this the collective unconscious. Imagine your mind as Asmo Island. Everything you have lived, your memories, your traumas, your stories is there. But beneath this island, there exists an invisible dark ocean shared by all human beings. A sea where symbols, images, and patterns that have been formed over thousands of years swim. These are ancient myths, primordial archetypes, forces that existed long before you were born and that still live within you, shaping the way you think, love, and suffer. The collective unconscious is not a beautiful metaphor. It is apsychic reality that manifests in dreams. Fantasies, religions, the films that move us, the stories that span centuries. This is why different civilizations at different times created similar myths with heroes, sages, monsters, journeys, and redemptions. These stories are not just cultural inventions. They are reflections of the very structure of the human soul. Jung believed that behind every human behavior there exists an archetypal pattern. When you feel fear of abandonment, you are touching an ancestral archetype. When you feel a deep need to belong, to find meaning, to overcome yourself, you are being guided by forces that have been present since the dawn of humanity. And that is exactly why ignoring the collective unconscious is like ignoring gravity. You can pretend it doesn't exist, but it will still pull you down. It will manifest in your relationships, in your choices, in your repetitions until you realize that you are not just fighting against your own ghosts, but against the ghosts of all humanity. But what exactly lives within this collective unconscious? Who are these invisible forces that shape your behavior without you realizing it? Jung gave them a name. He called them archetypes, universal forms present in all of us that act as patterns of behavior, emotion, and thought. And among all the archetypes, there is one that is the most ignored, the most feared, and the most dangerous. It lives within you. And as long as you do not look at it, it will continue to control your life. In the next part, we will talk about the shadow, the dark side of your personality that you try to hide, but that watches you all the time. If this content is making sense to you, click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. Have you ever done something that you later deeply regretted and couldn't even explain why? Have you ever exploded with anger at someone and later said, I don't even know what got into me? Have you ever felt envy, jealousy, anger, pride, but chose to ignore or justify those emotions instead of facing them? Then you have already met your shadow. You just didn't have the courage to look at it. Carl Jung believed that every human being carries within themselves a dark side, a rejected, repressed, denied part made up of everything you don't want to admit exists in you. Your most shameful impulses, your unacceptable desires, your weaknesses, your arrogance, your cruelty, your neediness, your vanity, your fury. All of this lives inside you. And the more you try to repress it, the stronger that force becomes. The shadow is everything you tried to hide to be accepted. It is what you had to suffocate to fit in. It is the child that was pruned. The teenager who had to be silent. The adult who learned Tosmal while crumbling inside. And here is the brutal truth. Everything you didn't face in your shadow starts to control your life beneath the surface. The shadow doesn't disappear. It disguises itself. It manifests in the judgments you make of others, in danger that explodes for no reason, in shame that paralyzes, in the internal voice that says you are not good enough, in the sabotage that prevents you from moving forward always at the most important. And the more you believe you are a good person, the more dangerous your shadow becomes. because you don't recognize anger, selfishness, envy as parts of yourself, so you project them onto the world. You start to see evil always in others and never in yourself. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. In other words, as long as you keep pretending the shadow doesn't exist, you will continue to be dominated by it. You will repeat same patterns. You will choose people who hurt you. You will sabotage your opportunities. You will flee from love, success, freedom, because deep down you believe you don't deserve it. But there is a way to confront this darkness. Not to destroy it, but to integrate it. Because the shadow is not just destruction. It also holds power. It contains the raw energy that, if well harnessed, can transform you completely. But for that you need to be willing to enter dangerous territory to face parts of yourself that have been banished, forgotten, suffocated. It is in this confrontation that the true process of self-knowledge begins. And Jung named this process heckled individuation. A difficult, long path but absolutely necessary for those who want to be truly free. In the next part, we will understand how this process works and it is the only real way to become whole. Because as long as you continue living in fragments, you will continue living in conflict. Most people spend their entire lives trying to fit in, pleasing their parents, meeting social expectations, conforming to the standards imposed by culture. They mold themselves, distort themselves, anesthetize themselves, also avoid confronting who they really are. But deep down there is an emptiness, a discomfort, a feeling that something essential is missing. Carl Jung knew exactly what that was. Heckled it the absence of individuation. Individuation is not cheap self-help. It's not about living your best version or manifesting guidance. It is the brutal, intense, and profound process of becoming a whole human being. It is the confrontation with one's own shadow, the integration of internal opposites, the reconnection with the soul. It is ceasing to be just a mask, what Jung called the persona, and starting to discover the true self that lives behind it. Individuating is seeing to what you thought you were to bear burn as something more authentic. It is the collapse of the ego, the breaking off illusions. It is facing the parts of you that you have denied for decades. It is discovering that you are neither as good as you would like, nor as bad as you fear. It is accepting that you are light and darkness, strength and fragility, courage and cowardice all at the same time. And here's the part no one tells you.